What's going on, everybody? Uh, we're going to get ready to get started. We got a special show tonight. I saw a few people already in. I know I normally come on Wednesday, but there's quite a bit that's going on that we're going to be talking about. There is going to be a show on Wednesday. We're going to be kind of previewing free agency. I'll have another guest possibly coming on for that. But tonight we're mainly going to talk about a little bit of what we saw from the combine, and also a little bit of news that has kind of surfaced within the last um, less than 3 or 4 hours, and we may touch a little bit on this whole Aaron Rodgers thing that a lot of people are talking about. As y'all can see, we're gonna have a special guest on the show, so we're gonna get ready to get started in 60 seconds. So stay tuned for Titans and Truth tonight. Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody? Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome to a special Monday edition of TNT Tonight. I'm your host, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and we're gonna have a very great show for you on this evening. And so, as before we do get started, I want to make sure y'all share this show out. Definitely make sure you share the show, everything on all of the platforms. Definitely share it on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram and Twitter, and as we're trying to head towards 2,000 subscribers right now, trying to get to 1,200. So definitely try to help by subscribing to the show if you haven't already. Definitely smash that like button. Definitely hit that like button for me. We definitely want to get a whole bunch of likes tonight. And if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, go ahead and subscribe to the show on YouTube, and make sure you hit that bell as well, so that way you're notified of any new content that does come out. So that way you're in the know and you know exactly what's going on. And so I see we got a few people in here already. I see we got Ms. Mims watching. How you doing? I'm doing good. How about yourself? Reggie B always does that. So we're going to, follow Reggie B. Hit that like button. Titan Pratt on the show. What's going on? Zach Carpenter. We got the 615 podcast, my guy Lee. We got Ola Struck in here as well. So we definitely got quite a bit. We got quite a few people already in here. And of course, see Titan Rossi kind of comment right there, but I got something in store for everybody tonight. So definitely go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the show, or if you're new to the show, welcome in. We welcome all. We welcome all fans. We mainly talk Tennessee Titans, but I guarantee you there's some more that's going to be on the horizon, so you don't want to miss out on that. Paulie D, what's up with you, sir? But we got Dennis Williams. Okay, welcome to the show. Welcome in. And we got Clyde Thompson. What's up with you? Welcome into the show. But let's go ahead, and without any further ado, I'm gonna bring on my special guest as we get ready to talk about the combine. You know him, you love him. If you haven't caught up with this guy yet, you need to go ahead and do so. He's done some great work so far. And I bring in my guy, Titan Rossi, onto the show. from the Titan Upload Network. Shout out to Titan Upload, by the way, and to Mr. Titan. I know Titan Rossi, myself. We did some stuff with helping Eddie O'Reilly, our fellow fan, get back. And again, if y'all want to help with Eddie O'Reilly, I believe he's in Germany right now, safe and sound. But if y'all want to make sure y'all help him get back here to the States, that is the link, the GoFundMe link that has been set up. So make sure y'all go there and you can contribute to the cause. I believe I know last time I checked, it was well over $7,000 that was raised. On there is probably a lot more than that now, but definitely, understand that we're not just fans. We are a pretty tight knit family. We do try to be there for each other. So if you want to help Eddie O'Reilly get back home, because he's fleeing from the Ukraine, him and his family, trying to keep them safe. We want Eddie O'Reilly to come home safe. And again, prayers to all of those who are still stuck in Ukraine, who are just trying to survive. So prayers up for all the Ukrainian citizens that are just, and all the Ukrainian soldiers who are just trying to fight and protect their homes. So prayers up to them. But again, without further ado, I welcome in Titans Rossi onto the show. Rossi, how you doing, good sir?
Doing good, man. I'm glad you put that up for Eddie. I know, you've done something, Mr. Titan, and it's cool to see the Titan Nation community, Titans fans come together and help this man and his family out. And I believe it was almost up to $9,000 last time I checked. So, they're getting there and making it. And yeah, but I'm glad to be on the show tonight, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you definitely hopping on with me for just a bit. And everybody, I know this is kind of a late start. Normally I start around 6 or 7 or something like that. I know this is kind of a late start, but I just figure with so much that's going on, we got free agency getting started in about a little over a week. So again, a teaser. There will be a free agency preview on Wednesday. So we're going to be kind of getting ready for free agency, kind of trying to see what can the Titans do in this situation. And we do have some news that we did see on that. So definitely trying to, and it looks like Al Pierce is updated saying, just shy of 10K. So they're almost there with that. Dang, I see we got a celebrity. Titan Anderson, what's up with you? Paulie D. Yeah, Paulie D looks like he's shouting you out. Rossi, definitely
what's
with
up,
that.
Paulie?
Again, Ms. Mims giving prayers up. Marjon, what do you think about the possibility of getting Gronk? Well, I guess we can talk a little bit about that and everything. So Ms. Mims is saying hi to you.
Hello, Miss Mims.
Yeah, man, when I tell you, she is hype. Very optimistic about every situation. Always looks at the glass half full. So
that's awesome.
I definitely appreciate that. The Tighten Up Pod, I know those guys are definitely doing some stuff too. So shout out to P Shark and the Tighten Up Pod. I know they got something coming up definitely as well. So shout out to those guys too. I think they're doing something talking about free agency and things like that coming up. So shout out to the Tighten Up Pod. But let's go ahead and get into this about, the combine, as the combine has concluded, is come and gone. As some people like to call it, the underwear Olympics. And so this is what I tried to take away from it. I wasn't able to actually watch it live. I got the NFL Game Pass, so I was able to kind of watch a condensed version of the combine, which I'm not the biggest fan of, because they didn't really show everything. They showed, I think they tried to show like maybe a couple of surprises, but they were really focusing on like the very top guys at that position. They didn't really focus on like, okay, you know what, this guy that maybe looked like could have win in like the 4th or 5th round. Okay, he was kind of impressive, but I was able to kind of eyeball a few people, and I'm not gonna lie to all of y'all tonight. I mainly focused on some of the teams of immediate need. I mainly focused on offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers. That's why I did my main focus. And I looked at some quarterbacks too. But that was kind of where my main focus. I really didn't get to really watch a lot of the defensive players necessarily because I didn't think that's the biggest need right now or where we should really go early in the first round. Maybe that's something that I come back to and really take a look at the defensive players and kind of get an eye on them. I think, Rossi, I know you kind of caught, I know a few defensive players caught your eye during this, but before I give my thoughts, what were some of your takeaways from offensive players from the combine? And then we'll go defense.
The speed in the wide receiver class is just every year it's just getting as a whole just faster and faster, man. And I think this year, especially in that wide receiver group, you got a lot of guys, and this was like this last year too, Truth, because there was a few guys that you were wanting. I remember, like in the fourth round stuff. I don't know why we took Dez when went to all those other. Anyways, that's a whole nother. Don't get me started on that. But
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I mean, this season especially, man, there's some wide receivers that I think you could pick up in the third, fourth round that could really do well for you, and as far as the O linemen, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of them, but there's one guy that I really want. Is it Penning?
Trevor Penning.
And
yes, we're definitely going to talk about him.
I don't know if he's going to be available at our spot. You know what I mean? But I just feel like my takeaway from that is if he falls to that spot, I don't see how you can't get him. But another one, QB, Malik Willis, man, I'm super impressed with Malik Willis. He's just something to watch, man. I really like that dude, man. I think if a lot of people would be like, no, not at all, don't get him or whatever. But
right.
I just feel like if you want a guy that's going to develop, you can develop a year or two, man, the ceiling is so high for that guy. And there's just other players too, tight ends that could go. A lot of people are saying the tight end group ain't that deep, which they aren't. But I think there's some guys you could pick up in the third round, fourth round that might be pretty good for you,
Yeah, and speaking of the tight end group, and that's exactly where I'm going to start. Anybody that says the tight end group is not deep, I don't know what you drinking on or what you smoking on. Because let me tell you, first off, you're absolutely right. The wide receiver class is fast, man, fast. I tell you, and we're gonna get to that in a second. But the tight ends, very impressed, and there are a lot of good tight ends. And I mean, we thought the free agency tight end class was going to be really nice. The only problem is a lot of teams don't want to let these guys go because we see Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, David Njoku have all gotten the franchise tag today. So that very deep tight end class in free agency has quickly diminished very fast. And I know somebody came up with a question of, could we go get Gronk? I highly doubt it. I don't know. Gronk is probably only going to go where Brady goes, if Brady goes anywhere. If Brady plays another year, then perhaps, Gronk might go with him. But I don't see Gronk being a possibility. Maybe Vrabel talks to him, perhaps, but I don't know. I think he's tied at the hip with Brady. In my opinion on that. And Roz, I'm gonna let you comment on that. But tight ends I was very impressed with. And a couple of guys that really caught my eye early on. Definitely Trey McBride. He did not run the 40, but he ran the gauntlet very well. I enjoyed that gauntlet drill. Some of the other drills that we're doing, I mean, he caught the ball. I mean, just catches it. It's so smooth the way he runs a route and catches the football and just does extremely well with that. Another guy that I was very impressed with, Greg Dulcich from UCLA. I mean, he ran, I believe, around a four. I want to say around a 4.640. Definitely would be a nice get in the middle rounds as well. Extremely fluid with them, and I think he's a guy that definitely has worked himself up the board to maybe instead of somewhere in the fourth round or even late third, he might be in the mid to early third, maybe even climbing into the second round. Um,
Yeah.
and so another guy, Chig Okonkwo from Maryland. TD, Teron Davenport, has raved about this kid. And I looked at him running a 4.5, 4.40. Man, this guy can move. And I think he has, and I hate using this word. And Rossi, I think you know this. I hate using the word upside. I hate hearing upside, high ceiling. I hate using that, but I think he has some upside. And he has a
Yeah.
very nice catch radius and things like that when he goes through the drills and things like that. Got to see him in the blocking game. And remember, I'm talking about the combine. When I do my previews of positions, I will be going to look at some film. I will be trying to look at some film, and I don't just look at highlights. I like to see, for example, with Okonkwo, I'm going to be putting in Maryland versus whoever because I
Yeah.
want to see through an entire game what they do. I don't want to just see the best highlights. I want to see some struggles too because that tells you there could be some things that can be worked on. A couple of dark horses I have in the tight end room. Jelani Woods from Virginia. Man, to be 6'6", 6'7", I
I know.
mean, that dude can move and everything. And I think he has some upside to him as well. And a nice guy that I think could make Kari Blasingame or Torrey Carter obsolete is Connor Hayward from Michigan State. Came out of nowhere. I didn't even know who this guy was, but he's a converted, I believe, running back, fullback to tight end, and did tight end. I know his big brother Cam Hayward from the Steelers was kind of gassing him up and stuff like that. But you definitely see some potential there. He could play that tight end. He could play that H back in the fullback part as well. So you could definitely use him in a whole lot of different ways. And while I bring up some comments, what did you get any thoughts on maybe some of the tight ends? I know you said you maybe didn't get to watch a lot, but what did you think of the tight
Um,
ends?
no, I saw quite a bit of the tight ends. The O line I didn't get to see a whole lot, but I I mean, obviously, I've liked Trey McBride the whole time. Like he's been my dude. Like I don't know, is he a guy you would take at 26 for the Titans, or do they go after a free agent? And like you said, a lot of those free agents are probably going to stay home. But there's a lot of them out there this year. I mean, I guess that's the positive in free agency this year. There's about probably 8 of them that are very serviceable tight ends. Some of them above that, with Gesicki and um, Schultz and a lot of those guys and Jaku. But Jelani Woods, man, really impressed me. I think he's just one of those players that's just, I mean, he's so athletic. He can actually block too. I mean, for his height and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a guy out of Wisconsin that I really like, Jake Ferguson. Um,
Yeah, I did see a little bit of him.
I like that dude. I think he's a um, he can block really well. Like he's one of those guys I think that could come in and just do everything for you. He can catch the ball, he can block. But yeah, I mean there's quite a few tight ends that it might not be as like deep as far as first round or whatever tight ends,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of guys out there who I think could do very well on a lot of teams.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. There's, I, I don't believe a tight end is going to go in the first round, but I could definitely see a small run on tight ends, maybe
Yeah.
midway through the second round, and which is where I hope, and I believe somebody brought it up, saying that Mark Jones brought it up. We should trade back and get more picks. I think honestly, if there is a way to trade back, maybe to the back end of the first round or that very early part of the second round and pick up
Mm.
an extra second or an extra third, I'm down for it. Uh, I want to give this shout out to Devin Chester. Said, "Welcome to new child into the world. Congratulations on your new baby coming.
Congrats,
Your new
man.
baby being welcome to the world. You know, future Titan fan. So definitely welcome in to the world to your new child, Devin. Definitely appreciate the shout out there. But and my guy Lee, 615 podcast brings up Jalen Weidemeyer out of Texas A&M. And what I got to think about with him is I've seen him in a few games with Texas A&M. Obviously, definitely me being here in Memphis and things like that. You're in Florida,
Yeah.
you get a lot of SEC games. So seeing Jalen Weidemeyer, yes, as a receiving tight end, he is very good. Although, and Charles Davis even brought it up, he does have some concentration drop issues that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And not really sure about his blocking technique. He could probably be a little bit better. I mean, he's definitely a pass catching threat, but he does have some of those concentration drops. And that's something that, I mean, I know at times that could get better. Working on the jugs machine and things like that. So I think that's something that he could get better with. But you um, definitely got to be, you know, attentive when you're playing, especially in this particular offense. You got to be attentive.
Yeah.
You got to be focused. You can't just drop a pass like that and think everything gonna be okay, or you're gonna find yourself on the bench. So, with that being said, um, I mean, like I said, this tight end class, I think it's a lot deeper you know, in the middle of day 2 and day 3, I think you can find yourself a starter. Second,
Yeah.
third, or fourth round, you can find a starter. Jeremy Ruckert's another one. I don't know if he worked out or anything like that. I can't remember. I didn't really see him uh as I watched the combine with that, but he's another guy that I've seen linked to the Titans. In a lot of mock drafts, especially in the third round, with that. So, yeah, I definitely think these tight ends could be very good. Another group, I want to say the wide receivers for last because I love the wide receiver group. Got to talk
Yeah.
about them
Me too.
last. Next up, I want to go offensive line. And I know you said you didn't watch a lot of offensive line, but you mentioned Trevor Penning.
Yeah.
Trevor Penning, and I watched him. I saw him in some practices at the Senior Bowl. One word to describe Trevor Penning, and it is a very easy word: nasty.
Nasty. I was gonna say the same thing.
Hey, I mean, I don't know if you watch wrestling,
I
but
do.
back in the old WCW days, there was a tag team. You know, I forgot their names. I know it was Sags and I forgot the other guy's name, but they were known as the Nasty Boys.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I think with Trevor Penning. He is a nasty dude. Like, he goes not just to the whistle, but through the whistle. And at Senior Bowl, like, he took a guy and just flat out embarrassed him, got the rush, put him to the ground, and then stayed on him while he was on the ground. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, that might cause a penalty or two, but you know what? I don't mind that. Make sure he's down. Definitely. But some other guys that I definitely liked that came out, Zion Johnson, the guard from Boston College, I thought looked good. I know he's talked to the Titans. Obviously, he has a connection with Vrabel. We know how Vrabel loves Boston College. His son, Tyler Vrabel, I believe is draft eligible. So y'all don't be surprised if, like, in the sixth, seventh round, like in the sixth round, or they trade to the seventh round, and you hear Titans select Tyler Vrabel. Don't be shocked if that happens. It will not shock me at all if Tyler Vrabel is chosen as a Titan, or if he's an undrafted free agent. I pretty much, and I have no facts on this, I guarantee you, Tyler Vrabel, he will be fighting to make a roster spot on this team. I believe that. But like I said, Zion Johnson could play any position on the line. At the Senior Bowl, he got some reps at center. Obviously, could play guard. I mean, Trevor Penny was just physical. Like, he wanted to hit something. Dylan Parham from my alma mater, from the University of Memphis, ran a 4.9 340. He looked good, very fluent in his movement. He could play guard. He could play center.
Yeah.
Bernard Raymond. I think I wasn't really impressed with him from the Senior Bowl, but I do think he turned it around and did okay in the combine. I know he's still kind of raw, still getting used to playing the tackle position. He was a tight end playing tackle now. But a couple of guys to kind of keep your eye out on as a dark horse: Cole Strange from UTC, from Chattanooga, Sean Ryan from UCLA. I know they talked to Penning. I know they talked to Cole Strange. They talked to Dylan Parham, Cade Mays from Tennessee, Marquise Hayes, guard from Oklahoma, and a guy that I'm really just not as impressed with, Daniel Falele from Minnesota. I know the Titans have had a meeting with him as well, and I know they talked to a lot of tight ends: McBride, Dolchich, Woods, Owankwo. A lot of the tight ends I mentioned, the Titans have had meetings with them. So those are just a few things I saw with some of the linemen. Definitely was looking at kind of the shuffle drill. Definitely when they did, they hit the pad and did the kick step for pass blocking. And I'm pretty sure Vrabel and J-Rob paid close attention to that drill, because that was one of our weaknesses. If we got to keep Tannehill or a certain quarterback that's up north that could be coming this way, got to keep them upright. So that's something that definitely got to pay attention to with that. But did you have any other thoughts on maybe some of the other offensive linemen, maybe that you saw maybe around the Senior Bowl or anything like that that you were thinking?
Cade Mays is a guy I'm a Tennessee fan, Vols fan, but he's a guy that I've followed a lot, seen in his career. I really like him, man. If you're going for a guy in the fourth round, something like that, he's a guy you could go after. I really liked him. And Dylan Parham from Memphis, obviously you brought him up. There's a couple really good players, a few from Memphis in this draft. One of them a wide receiver who I texted you about the other day. But yeah, I mean, as far as tackles, like, man, I would absolutely love to have Penning. Like, I think he's a guy. If the thing about the Titans is with these tackles, man, we've kind of struck out a little bit. And we don't know with Radens. I mean, he might end up becoming a really good tackle. So can't really, say that yet. But, as far as, I think if you got a guy like Penning there, I just don't see how if you're going away from Luan, and obviously Quesenberry needs to go or needs to be a backup, then I just don't see how you couldn't take a guy like that. Not that it's a sexy pick, but we need it.
I will say this. There's only two ways I see the Titans maybe go offensive line, and it wouldn't shock me, and I wouldn't be upset. Like you said, I think a lot of other fans would be kind of, skeptical because that's not the sexy, trendy pick as an offensive lineman. You want something sexy, splashy, but if all the other big wide receivers are gone and Penning is sitting there, then you would be crazy not to consider taking him. I think they would consider taking him. And the other only way they do that is if they decide to cut Lawan straight up and
Yeah.
save that 13 million. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Roger Saffold, even though he kind of tweeted like he was going to be cut or something like that, but I that offensive line is pretty deep in this draft as well. So I
Yeah.
think again in the day 2, day 3, you could find a starting caliber offensive lineman or two in the later round. So I don't think that's a rush, but if Penning is there and he's the best player available, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You can move Raylands inside to left guard because he's gotten some work there and anything like that. But one thing that gives me confidence is number one, Dylan Raylands, despite what a lot of people have said, especially in the media about Dylan Raylands, I think he performed extremely well in that game against San Francisco. They had
Amazing.
no choice but to go to him. And, was it perfect? Absolutely not. But I thought there's a lot of optimism that could have come out of that game with him. And I just thought, and I didn't think he did too bad of a job against Nick Bosa. I don't think he did too bad of a job
Nah,
against
they had to move Bosa
to
over
the
on
other
the other
side.
side a few times. I mean, I don't care if it's just one game. I mean, I guarantee you Quesenberry or Kendall Lamb or somebody like that ain't playing that well against Bosa at any time. I mean, that's impressive. I don't care if it's one game.
Right.
If you're stopping Bosa, like, I mean,
Hey,
you got some potential.
you know what they say. You're only as good as your last game, and if that was the only game he really played, hey,
Yeah.
you got some good look. Um,
Yeah.
you know, um, and Paulie D coming out saying, "Hey, he's sexy when you see him make a block and spring Henry 70 yards." I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Zach said they might let Saffold go, get a tackle, and move Raiders to guard. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely happening. Now, Ms. Biz, I'm gonna help you out with this. The reason why the Titans are 26, they kind of go by I believe the first, I want to say 18 picks are the teams that didn't make the playoffs. And then the rest of the way out, because we were the number 1 seed and we were in the divisional round, and because we lost in the divisional round, that's why we're at 26.
Yeah.
Because of that, because we were like the wild card teams that lost are picking before us. And Buffalo finished behind us. So that's why they're ahead. They go by record. But also where you were in the playoffs. Like
Mhm.
Cincinnati normally would have been picking ahead of us too, but because they got to the Super Bowl, that's why they're picking 31st in the draft. And people might say, how's Detroit picking 32nd? Because of a trade for Stafford, and the Rams won the Super Bowl, the Lions got that pick. So that's why they're picking last. That's why the Titans are 26, because they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. They were in the divisional round. So the wild card teams that lost, like the Raiders, the Pittsburgh Steelers, are going to be ahead of us. And if we had won that divisional round like we should have, we would be picking like 27th or 28th or 29th or something like that. So that's where we would have been. So that's why it is set up that particular way. Ben Fairchild, what's up? Take a basketball player and convert him to tight end. And there's a couple of guys, there were a couple of tight ends and guys who were basketball players. I believe I want to say Jelani Woods, I think, was a basketball player as well. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. So don't quote me on that and everything. And also Titan Pratt, looks like you're getting Rossi, you're getting a request to come on with Titan Pratt. So where's my invitation, Titan Pratt? No, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. But there were some definitely impressive offensive linemen. It would not shock me if that is the case. If that happens, So, I mean, that would not shock me at all. Um, Quarterbacks. Let's go
Yeah.
to that. Now, I went by groups because the first group really wasn't a big time name. The only name that was in that group that the Titans had interest in, and really the Titans have shown they're really interested in only three quarterbacks: Sam Howell from North Carolina, Carson Strong from Nevada, and Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati. Now, I saw something on the website somewhere that the Titans maybe have talked to Malik Willis as well. I can't confirm or deny that. But we'll talk about Malik Willis in a minute. But Sam Howell threw a couple of nice balls. I wouldn't necessarily say something to write home to mom about, but I think he will be a solid backup, in my honest opinion. Cole Kelly from Southeast Louisiana State in that group, he threw some nice deep balls. I'm not even gonna lie. I know he's a
Yeah.
guy that probably nobody's heard of, but he threw some nice deep balls. I was very impressed with that. In group two, Desmond Ritter ran a 4.5 40. Did very well with his throws, got a little zip on it. I think there was a play. No, that was Carson Strong. We'll get to that. Malik Willis, cannon,
Yeah, dude.
cannon of an arm. I am worried about the competition that he played. He didn't look necessarily great against Auburn when he played against them, but I think again there's potential. He has the deep arm, but got to work on the underneath stuff, and you got to be able to read. That's going to be very important how he does in the classroom on the boards. That's going to determine a lot. Kenny Pickett, I believe, was exactly what everybody thought. Forget the small hands. I thought he was pretty good, accurate on a lot of throws. Carson Strong was the most impressive to me. I can't lie. I'm worried about the injury thing because he's had some knee issues. He's not very extremely mobile. He's more of a statuesque type quarterback. But I will say he threw an amazing deep ball on the money to Chris Olave. He
Yeah.
threw it on. I mean, you couldn't have thrown it any better. And Chris Olave got right under it, touchdown. Like goodbye. Go ahead and get to the sidelines. And so, but I am worried that he could be Jake Locker 2.0 with that. So, what were your thoughts on? I know you mentioned you were very impressed with Malik Willis. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts on the quarterbacks?
I mean, I thought overall they were pretty good. You know, another group where they said it's not a real deep class. I mean, I don't know how many starters you got out of that group. As far as I see Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett being a
Mm-hmm.
starter. I see Malik Willis. I really like Malik Willis, man. There's just something about the guy. And I know he's got freaking elite deep ball. You know what I mean? He's got elite arm strength. Some I've heard even some people say generational arm talent with that guy. Now, like you said, the playing at the small what he played at Liberty, right?
Liberty.
I think he's one of those guys you definitely don't want him to come in and start right away. I
I
think,
agree.
if you could set that guy like 2 seasons probably, and kind of get him coached up and all that, let him play here and there, stuff like that. I think, are the Titans in that position with Tannehill? I mean, are they looking for somebody to step in? If the Titans go quarterback in the first round, we'll know exactly where Tannehill stands in their
I
eyes.
agree.
You know what I mean? If they, and I know we're going to bring this up later, if they trade for a certain quarterback from up north, we definitely know where they stand. But I think it's gonna. I just don't see them drafting a quarterback. I just don't see that happening this year unless it's just somebody that fell to that spot and they just can't do without.
Right.
There's so many other needs, you know. But Desmond Ritter, impressive, super impressive. I haven't watched a lot of Ritter, but I went back and watched some of his highlights, and that dude can throw, man. You
Yeah.
know, he really can throw. And he's super fast, you know. I think he's somebody that's really good. And like you said, Carson Strong, I think could be really good. You know, I think he's a potential starter. Somebody that I just wasn't impressed with at all was Bailey Zapp. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who really like him, but I don't know. I just didn't see it. Like he just didn't. To me, he just didn't seem like to have much on the ball. Like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe I'm wrong, but somebody who impressed me a lot was Kenny Pickett, dude. I mean, um, I think the guy he's athletic. He's, you know, I just could see him being a good quarterback in this league, man.
Yeah.
I just like the guy. You know, I don't think
Yeah.
he's gonna fall to us at all, but you
No,
know.
I don't think so. Yeah, I know Mar Jones says Pickett has Pickett his name. Yeah. And so obviously Lee 615 says saw mock draft, and I saw this one too. I think it was a CBS
Really?
mock draft that had us taking Matt Corral. Now, here's what I'm gonna say about that particular mock draft. I saw this one too, and I was flabbergasted is the perfect word. Because
Yeah.
why? Because Trevor Penning was still on the board. Bernard Raymond was still on the board.
Yeah.
Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, all these guys were still on the board with this pick. I wouldn't necessarily go that particular route. Now, what I would say is if you have a guy like a Matt Corral who could probably fall because he did not perform, and some other guys probably move their way up. We know how the combine does. I mean, look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz before the combine looked like a guy that was going to get picked in maybe the third or fourth round. After the combine, he's the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that I was kind of surprised by that. I mean, I don't think the Titans are taking a quarterback in the first round. If they are, I think they're very intrigued by Desmond Ritter, probably because Luke Fickell and Mike Vrabel are like besties. They're best friends, you know, and
Yeah.
everything. And if there's one player we're gonna know, we're probably gonna know a lot about the Cincinnati guys, but Desmond Ritter in particular. So I could definitely see the Titans possibly taking Ritter, maybe not in the first round, but if Ritter or Corral, you know, Willis, if Willis is there, which I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have him go being like the first quarterback off the board in like the top 10. So you see how a combine just skyrockets somebody up.
Yeah.
And if a couple of quarterbacks are there, I think trading down is definitely there. Is definitely a possibility with that. Titans for Life comes in and says, appear to be looking at edge rusher and O-line. I don't know if they're looking at edge rusher. That all depends on Harold Landry. If we can't get a deal done with Harold Landry, and I would probably say we have a little less than 12 hours. I mean, we have about 18 hours left before the tag period is up, depending
Yeah.
on if they're going to tag Harold Landry or not. If they don't and they can't get a deal done, yeah, things change up a bit, and edge rusher does go to kind of the top of the list a little bit.
And
Titans,
how much does would the tag cost for Landry?
I want to say, and I believe I've got this correct, 18.7 million.
Okay.
That would be the franchise tag for
Good chunk.
that is a pretty good chunk. And I saw it on Twitter. I believe it was under it was either Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport's Twitter, because they set the salary cap at 208 million,
Okay.
208.2 million. So that's what the salary cap is set as, and they set all the stuff with the franchise tag. I'm looking at trying to see if I can find where that listing is shown and everything, but I believe it was 18.7 million for the franchise tag for a linebacker, and I believe it's like 17 million for got it right here. I see it. And I'm gonna try to share this screen, but this is off of Ian Rappaport's Twitter right here. So yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna show it. So now y'all see it on the screen right here. This is the franchise tag. So it's the second highest amount behind quarterback. Quarterback 29 million, 29.7 million. Then you got linebackers. That's middle, and is strictly linebacker. That's whether it's a middle or an outside linebacker, 18.7 million.
Wow.
Defensive end is like 17.8. So right at close to 17.9, right at 18 million for defensive end. You know, for kicks and giggles, right now, 18.49 million is wide receiver. So if some couldn't get done with AJ, expect that to be closer to 20 million next season. So think about that. You know, right now, and another thing that was talked about that I've seen in Titan news was I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Big Jeff. Looks like the Titans are going to pick up his 5th-year option. That's a no-brainer. That is, I mean, you would be dumb not to do that. And I believe the 5th-year tag is around 10 million. I think it's like 10.3 million or something like that. So that's easy. That is easy to do that. But yeah. And Cameron Wolf on his Twitter, they were talking about the franchise tag as well. And I'm gonna try to see if I can bring up if everybody's gonna be able to hear what he says in regards to Harold Landry's situation. So y'all give me a moment. I'm gonna see if we can hear any if we can hear this from Cameron Wolf. So this is on Twitter. So this is on Twitter. This is on Cameron Wolf's Twitter. This was him talking about the Harold Landry situation.
Andrew, Titans' top free agent priority is getting Harold Landry back. But you mentioned that cap space. That's something Titans GM John Robinson made clear in Indianapolis. They have to figure out ways to get under the cap before they can figure out different moves to make, a couple different options. Kevin Byard, their Pro Bowl safety, restructuring his deal, restructuring running back Derrick Henry's deal. Those are two options that have been discussed to create cap space. Now, Harold Landry, a decision to be made there on the franchise tag in the next 24 hours. They're still uncertain there, but from when I heard in Indianapolis, I'd lean a little bit towards no as they try to work out a long-term deal with the speed pass rusher. He may not be the household name for a lot of people, but he had 12 sacks last year, more than any player that's set to hit free agency, and he was a big part of a defensive line that may have been the best in football last year. They have to figure out a way to get him back, or that defense is going to take a big step back, and that's before getting to some of the needs on the offensive side of the ball, like tight end, like receiver, like offensive line. So a number 1 seed last year for the Titans. They have a lot of work, and I think they know it to get back. Andrew.
So that was Cameron Wolf, former Titans beat writer. He did beat writing for ESPN for the Titans some years ago before TD took over, and he now does work for the NFL Network. So Rossi, what were your thoughts on what you heard with Cameron Wolf on that? And I know we're kind of sidetracking. We're going to talk about the receivers in just a minute and everything, but on that news with Harold Landry, and TD has come out and said that they may, they're still deciding if they're going to use the franchise tag, but there's optimism that a deal will get done with Landry. What are your thoughts about Harold Landry?
I think he's a guy that you got to bring back if you can. I agree with what Cameron said. He's a guy that knows the system. He's been here a while. You know what I mean? I love his progress this season. I think what you saw was, finally he wasn't getting freaking double teamed every game because he was all we had, and he wasn't having to play freaking every single snap, like you did in the past. Because you had guys like Dupree, and you had Simmons, and you had who else? Autry, and all those guys, you know what I mean? I think it really opened up the Landry side, and he was able to make some plays. I think if you're in a win now type of mode, you keep Landry. There are some awesome edge rushers in this draft. Then they could very well get one, but I don't know. I really hope they can keep Landry and figure out this cap situation coming out the other side of it.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, you got to be able to keep Harold Landry. I mean, look, I understand, everybody, freaking out about the salary cap. The Titans are $7 million over the cap. Yeah, listen to what I'm saying. And I think Rossi might agree with me on this. Jarrett Stillman said this earlier, and some other people said it. The salary cap is a myth. The salary cap is it's not real. And if anybody has proven that, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. They have proven the salary cap is a myth. It is nothing you really need to take seriously. If you want some people, you can work it to your favor despite what you're looking at with the cap. The Chiefs at one point were like 25, 30 million over the salary cap. They still gave $450 million to Patrick Mahomes on a 10-year deal. They gave big money to Kelsey, gave big money to Chris Jones. They're going to give big money to Tyreek Hill. So, and they just put the franchise tag on a tackle on Orlando Brown, which is, I believe, around $18 million for a tackle. So, Kansas City Chiefs are proving to you, salary cap is nothing you can't get around.
Yeah.
So that's nothing to deal with. That's nothing you can't deal with. And believe me when I tell you, I believe the Titans will tag Harold Landry in lieu of getting a long-term deal done. Yes, it does count $18 million right off the bat, but I think that number will come down because, I mean, again, I said this, I believe, last week. Harold Landry isn't even asking. He's not asking to be top 10. He's not asking to be top 5 or the highest paid player in this position. He's just asking to be the highest paid player as outside linebacker for the Titans, which is, in the grand scheme of things, when you really look at TJ Watt at $28 million, Bosa at $27 million, Cam Jordan is at like 23, 24. Myles Garrett is at $25 million. Honestly, at like 17, 18 million, that's a pretty nice bargain if you really think about it. So I think that's what's going to happen, is that they tag them in lieu of a contract being done. Both sides want to get a deal done. Landry wants to stay. The Titans want to keep him. That has been publicly known. So I just think that they just got to iron out the details, in my honest opinion. But I think, and again, I have no guarantee of this. I am not an expert. But I have a feeling I think the deal is pretty much imminent, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. It is imminent that a deal will be done
think we lost you for a minute.
There we go. Oh,
There we go.
yeah. So, Zach, thank you for the super chat. I definitely do appreciate that. Yeah, maybe I can use that to give me a microphone. So that might be a way that I might go with that. So, thank y'all. Thank you very much for that super chat. I much appreciate that. Indeed.
I think we lost you again.
Something I can't stand, but we gonna
There we go.
keep going nevertheless. We're not gonna let this stop the show or anything like that. So I agree. I think Harold Landry is gonna get a deal done and be just fine. So Maddie says, yeah, it's gonna be a two-way street, restructured contract, two-way street. Players just don't agree to restructure willingly, so it's not an easy option. Now, Bayer came out before and said he's down to restructure to keep Harold Landry. And there is news about him and Derrick Henry possibly restructuring, or they're discussing that potential possibility with that. So that is something to pay attention to. But let's talk about the wide receivers, because I've been wanting to get on this quite some time. Man, the wide receivers are amazing. I mean, this wide receiver class is dope, in my opinion. Dope. I love this wide receiver class. And I think this wide receiver class is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Calvin Austin from my alma mater, you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Man, that dude is fast. And I can tell you this from personal experience. I watched a lot of Memphis ball. Calvin Austin can play some football.
Yeah.
This dude, he has to be a Tennessee Titan. I'm sorry. He has to be a Tennessee Titan. Now, I wouldn't draft him in the first round, but in like the third round, if he's there, or if we can get a late second round pick, I'm down. I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's a guy. I messaged you the other day. I was like, hey, what about your boy Calvin Austin? But yeah, like there's a guy last draft that I wanted really bad was Kadarius Toney.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not saying Toney and him are similar play styles or whatever, but I really like Austin, man.
I do too. And the thing about Austin that I really like, yeah, a lot of people are going to harp, and the reason why he won't get real first round consideration is because of
his size.
Because of his size, him being him being like 5'8" or anything like that. So he may not be first round. But let me tell you something. This dude could play in the slot. He could play outside. He has some return ability. He's returned punts as well as kicks, and he returned one for a touchdown against Mississippi State. The play where he faked everybody out, and I thought he called for a fair catch on that play too. And Mississippi State players were just standing around, so they thought it was they let it, down the ball. And so he comes back, picks up the ball, and starts running the other way, and just nobody picks up on that. So I'm just like, yes. I mean, extremely fast. Another guy I like ran and Austin ran a 4.32. It was officially a 4.38. But he ran a 4.32. I like that. Dotson ran a 4.41. I like Dotson. Also got some good hands, very smooth. He could play inside or outside as well. He'd be a good guy that could be a 3 and eventually turn into a 2. A couple of other guys that I liked as well. Man, this kid from Western Michigan by the name, he's got a good name, Sky Moore. Keep your ears on that name, Sky Moore from Western Michigan. He's about like Calvin Austin, like around 5'8", 5'9", but he ran 4.39. A lot of guys ran sub 4.4s in this class. And I mean, just came out of nowhere, caught the ball in the gauntlet drills, caught the ball very well. Also, got some very good speed, fluid, and drills. Now, Velas Jones ran a 4.32 40 as well. And I think the thing that's going to knock him, and he'll probably be there in like the 5th or 6th round, is he's one of the older guys in this draft. Like, he's 24. By the time the season's really in full swing, he will be 25 years old. So he's one of the elder statesmen. And so you may not get a lot of years out of him and everything. But out of this particular group, obviously another guy, Chris Olave, need not say more, was just incredible. I pray he is there at 26. I don't know if he will be.
Man.
But I got a couple other guys, but I want to get your thoughts. What were some of your takeaways from some of the receivers? I know there's a couple of guys you mentioned besides Austin.
Yeah, Christian Watson's a guy who impressed me a lot. I just really like his style, the way he plays. He's another guy that's super fast, 4.36, 40. He's 6'5", 211 pounds, which is crazy that he's running that fast, man. I think he's just one of those guys that, he's one of those guys that could really this class could be one of the best wide receiver classes we've ever seen as far as production in the NFL. Now, last year's class was pretty good too.
And watch J-Rob don't even go towards that, because it's like the last 2 draft classes have been nice, and J-Rob doesn't even pay attention to him until the 4th round last year, and we got a couple of scrubs.
Yep. Sky Moore, saw him. I agree with you there. There's a guy that a lot of people have said, brought his name up and this and that, but he's somebody I don't want. And people might say, "Oh, you're crazy, you wouldn't want him." Is Treylon Burks.
You were
and
perfect segue.
And it's not because I don't think Treylon Burks could be awesome. I just, we already have a Treylon Burks type of player, and that's A.J. Brown. We already have Julio Jones. I want somebody that's got some speed. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that A.J. or Julio don't have speed, but we need a guy on our offense that's like
a game breaker,
a game breaker, a burner. You know what I mean? Like Tyreek Hill, somebody that is just a burner that has speed, because we really don't have that. You know what I'm saying? And
somebody that's terrified, that puts fear in the defense. Like, if this guy gets behind me, he's gone.
Yeah, because last season we didn't have that at all, man. We had all these big guys and this and that. Chester Rogers wasn't that fast. I mean, for whatever reason, he kind of lost the step even when he was healthy. And we just didn't have that guy. You know what I mean? The only other faster receiver that they had really was probably on the practice squad, and that's just because he probably wasn't ready, was Kinsey. As far as actual quickness and speed, we need an elite speed guy.
I could not agree with you more. Now, TD and Chris Sanders and Derek Mason, those guys are all receivers, and they would actually say, and I've heard them say that speed ain't everything. It's a big part, but track speed may not necessarily translate to football speed and everything. And sometimes you can kick it into a gear when you got somebody chasing you down. Now, it is not everything, but it's a pretty big part. It's I can see what they're saying if you have all the speed in the world, but if you can't catch the ball worth nothing, all that speed doesn't mean anything. And I'm with you on Christian Watson. I was definitely impressed with him. Definitely liked what I saw. I honestly thought he looked faster than I thought, honestly. Um, Traylon Burks, I'm kind of mixed on him. I mean, look, if he turns into A.J. Brown #2, I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he would eventually be Julio Jones' replacement. Definitely. So I wouldn't necessarily be mad if he's got that dog in him. I'm okay with that. If he ain't got the perfect speed, which a lot of people at the combine, I think, were disappointed with Trey Burks, especially with the 40, only running like a 4.5, and it wasn't even a sub 4.5. I thought he caught the ball pretty well in some drills. Again, you got to go look at the tape. But I think Traylon Burks could be a pretty good player, but I do hear what you're saying. We do need a burner. We definitely need a burner.
What do you think about the Mechie kid from Alabama?
I'm going to get to that. And that is a good point. I am definitely going to get to that. Another guy I'm down on, and maybe I'm crazy. Y'all can call me crazy, is Garrett Wilson. I don't see nothing exciting with him. Now, again, y'all, I'm going to go look at some film, and maybe I have an about face. But from the combine, I did not see anything special about Garrett Wilson. I saw something special with Chris Olave, and I absolutely love this guy. I love some Chris Olave. I mean, I would be like, look, if you pick Chris Olave and then you go get a Skybor or Calvin Austin, I would be okay with cutting Julio Jones after June 1st. And you wouldn't hear a complaint from me.
Yeah.
At all. So, 615 brought out Drake London. Drake London, I haven't brought him up, for two reasons. A, he didn't work out because of an injury. 2, he's going to be gone before we pick anyway, most likely, with that. So, I think Titans for Life mentioned Charleston Rambo. Titans for Life, let me know what school he went to. I didn't really have a whole lot on that. Ms. Mims, be safe. Have a good night. We were talking about some Alabama guys. John Mechie, I think, is a decent player. I saw a little bit of Alabama with Mechie. I think he's like an A.J. Brown, if you ask me. But I will say this. I know a lot of people are worried about injury. And, a lot of media people want somebody who can contribute right now.
Yeah.
But if there's a guy in the first round that I would be like just over the moon for, is Jameson Williams. I understand he won't be ready week 1. But when I tell you, this guy, you have good speed, you have great speed, you even have elite speed.
4.25.
This dude has world-class speed. World-class speed. And I know he's coming back again from an ACL. He may come back even faster. He tore it in the national championship in January. So, maybe lightning strikes a third time for J-Rob. We still don't know what Caleb Farley. I think Caleb Farley is going to be fine and could really be good. And 615 says University of Miami, Charleston Rambo. I'll go look at some film on him. But Jameson Williams is intriguing to me. I would probably go crazy with joy if they go ahead and get Jameson Williams. I understand he ain't ready to go week 1, but he will contribute right away. Mechie, I think, would be good. I like Mechie a little bit. I'm going to go back again and look at some more, but there's still a little bit more to go on that. But what about you on that one?
On Mechie?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions with Mechie. I really like the type of player he is. Man, I don't want us to go that route again as far as picking a player that's hurt or something like that. I just
Mhm.
feel like, I mean, it worked for Simmons. It didn't work for Farley yet. I mean, we'll see what happens with Farley this year. I mean, we haven't had too much of a sample size just because one worked, one didn't. I just feel like that you need to pick somebody that is maybe not injury prone or not coming into a situation like that because, like I said, it
Especially in
de-
the first round.
and it depends on where you're at with your franchise. Are you still in win now mode? Are you still in
Mhm.
this we want this Super Bowl mode, or does it not matter as much? You just kind of you're still building for the future, and all this and that. I think we will figure this out. We'll find this out pretty quick
Yeah,
come draft day, especially with free agency. We're gonna
I
find
agree.
out pretty quick where J Rob's what his idea is coming into this next season.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, Philomatic said maybe not necessarily a burner, but guys that have good footwork and can run the route. And
Yeah,
that's why I like Chris Olave and Jahan Dotson. Both of
yeah,
those guys are fast and they run routes well. And they're good route technicians. So I think and with Dotson, that's very interesting. He didn't really have a good quarterback at Penn State, and he still caught nearly 100 balls last year.
yeah,
Definitely noticed Dotson a lot, and I want to say he played in the Cotton Bowl game against Memphis. I was there, and I want to say Dotson played in that game and was pretty good in that game as well. So I mean, man, the the wide receiver, tight end class, the O line class, I think are extremely deep, and I think you could get a lot of good players on all 3 days, in my opinion. But before we do kind of get ready to wrap some stuff up on this edition, and we'll probably I'm gonna tease a little bit, talk a little bit about a certain quarterback. I know you watched a few defensive players. Who are a couple of names of some defensive players that caught your eye?
I mean, obviously the one that caught everybody's eyes, Jordan Davis. I mean, you cannot talk about that dude. I mean, what, 350 pounds, and he's running a 4.78. It wasn't even a 4.82 is the unofficial, but the 4.78. I mean, that kid, unbelievable talent for a guy that's that big. There was a defensive end that I was trying to pull up that I really liked. Um, Arnold, the guy from Penn State, Ebikati.
Yeah, I can't catch his name, but I heard TD talking about him today.
Yeah,
About that kid from Penn State, number 17.
yeah,
Uh, TD said it himself. He would be a perfect fit.
yeah. Yep, and I ain't even heard that from TD today. So that's just I saw him. I mean, he does all the he's a hard player. You know what I mean? Like he plays hard. His motor doesn't stop running. I think he's a Titans type of guy. He's a J. Rob Vrabel type of player, and
Mhm.
he's somebody that could potentially fall to us in that pick. Now, I think we are gonna trade that first round pick, just because it's. I think we could for what we need. There's so much depth for our need positions that I don't see it an issue trading that first round pick and getting you maybe a second, another third, maybe 2 seconds, maybe an early second, a late second, or whatever. I don't know what the trade would typically be for first round 26 pick,
Mhm.
but I just think if you can get some more picks, especially in round 2 and 3, and there's a lot of good edge rushers out there. You
Yep.
know what I
And
mean?
and I even though I didn't really watch the defensive players, I
Yeah.
think we are going to draft a pass rusher at some point in the draft. I just don't think they'll draft early, but I think later, and because we have a 3, we have 2 4s, we have 2 6s. So I could definitely see a pass rusher somewhere in the middle of the draft. I could definitely see that. Another guy I know, TD talked about him from Ole Miss, Sam Williams. I know he had some back ground story that needs to be kind of cleared up, which I think did kind of get cleared up some at the combine. So that's another guy I've heard that name. I believe
Yeah.
Devontae Wyatt, I believe from Georgia, I think also tested well, if I'm not mistaken. I have heard a lot of defensive linemen looked good, I tell you. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
there's some good players
Jermaine Johnson from Florida State.
who's gonna go early.
Another guy, yeah. But I mean, yeah, there are some good players on that side as well on the line and then defensive end. Some good tackles too, defensive tackles.
Yeah,
This draft is stacked, man.
I agree. I definitely think this is gonna be a very exciting draft. Definitely. And if all goes well, y'all, you will be getting your draft coverage on the spot from yours truly. The plan is, if all go well, if I can get my time off at work straight and I can work some stuff out, I will be live in Vegas for the NFL
Nice.
draft. That is the plan. I'm gonna see if I can get myself into the theater where they're making the picks. Most likely, I was trying to see if I can get maybe see if I can get a hotel that was like close to where the draft stage would be. And I could have been like in my room, not necessarily there among the people, but I could see it from my room and be like on my computer, be like, yeah, I see the draft going on is right in front of me, something like that. But most likely I'll probably be on my phone doing this. So definitely stay tuned for that. Hopefully that does get to happen. So you get some live draft coverage. You'll get live draft coverage from the draft, night 1 and night 2. That is the plan. I hope they trade back. Maybe see if the Detroit Lions, maybe we can bite with them to give up 32 and 34, which I doubt they'll give
Yeah.
up both of those picks, but I think they can give up one. And I think if they give up 32, maybe we can get them to give up 66 and 101. Well, I say 32 maybe and 66, top of the third round. But if they only give up 34, maybe see if we can squeeze 66 and 101, their 2 third-round picks out of them. Maybe that's something we could definitely do. I see Telly Jokic says he'll be there. Hey, maybe we'll link up. Definitely. Titans for Life says a trade is usually a 2 and a 4 for a late 1. We'll definitely see. We might be able to finagle and do some stuff. So that's something that I'm interested in. But we did talk about Landry. Before we do get out of here, let's briefly assess the elephant in the room situation. And I'll probably talk some more about
Where's
this
he at?
on Wednesday. The elephant in the room, of course, since the report has come out on Friday from Mike Florio, there is a certain quarterback from the North that possibly make his way down south.
Yeah.
And he would, of course, be the aforementioned diva himself, Aaron Rodgers. Now, the report came out from Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk that there are offers on the table, deals in place, and Aaron Rodgers is trying to decide between staying in Green Bay, going to Denver, coming here with us, or going to Pittsburgh. Those are the 4 teams. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say. There is no way on God's green earth Aaron Rodgers will be a Titan. And in most instances, I would probably be inclined to agree. We have all gotten, and I understand, I think I think somebody on 3HL or somebody earlier said it, that this fan base has been kind of brainwashed and trained to not get their hopes up because they've had their hearts broken many, many times before. And, you know, and obviously, you know, Adam Schefter is basically saying, well, there's no truth to this, that, you know, there's nothing on the table. Packers ain't talked to nobody or anything. A lot of media are saying is either staying in Green Bay or going to Denver, pretty much. And I think that's the consensus where it's probably going to come down to, pretty much. But I will say this. And I know a lot of people will say, well, J-Rob and Vrabel have already come back and backed Tannehill. They want Tannehill, and everything. And I will say there's two things, and Ross, let me get your thought.
Mm-hmm.
If Aaron Rodgers comes to J-Rob and says, I think I want to get traded to your organization, and J-Rob comes out and says, nah, we're good with Tannehill. We're good with our quarterback situation. I'm sorry. That is a fireable offense right there, in my opinion. You would have to be stupid to not even at least look at it, kick the tires, look into it. Don't be so naive and be so tunnel vision to want to show loyalty to Tannehill. And people will think, well, if they come out saying they're going to get Aaron Rodgers or they try to get Aaron Rodgers, that's going to affect Tannehill. His feelings going to be hurt. And this is what I'm going to say. Damn Tannehill's feelings. I don't care about how he feels. I don't care if he's going to cry like a baby. Oh, they're trying to get Rodgers. They want to get rid of me. I don't care. The fact of the matter is this. We remember the emotional thing, and I talked about this last week. The emotional thing from J-Rob, and yet I said it. I wanted to hear Tannehill do that, and we haven't heard from Tannehill since the playoff game, period. And so, that's the thing about it. And now the problem is he's probably going to want $50 million, on a new deal. He's going to want more than Patrick Mahomes. But that's probably either on the Packers side or his agent trying to put that out. So remember, a lot of times it's the agent that's trying to gum up interest.
Yeah.
And also remember, a lot of y'all are saying, well, they've already said they're back in Tannehill. Remember a couple of years ago when Mike Mularkey thought he was in trouble, thought he was going to get fired even though we made the playoffs, we beat Kansas City? What did J-Rob and Amy Adams Strunk do? They backed Mike Mularkey. They said, Mike Mularkey is our head coach going forward. He's going to be our guy going into the next season. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Mularkey's gone. So, again, Tannehill is the guy going forward right now. Aaron Rodgers is somebody that doesn't come along every day. Russell Wilson, the same thing. If you got a chance to get one of those guys, you go ahead and get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you're not going to keep Tannehill in that instance. And a lot of people saying, well, we'll lose a lot of capital and all this. Yes, you're going to have to give up quite a bit of capital for Aaron Rodgers. But you could get some of that capital back trading Tannehill. Because somebody's going to want him, and there's going to be a market for him.
Yeah.
There's going to be a market for Tannehill. The Commanders, Denver, Pittsburgh, they could all be looking at, okay, we struck out on Rodgers. Let's go get a quarterback. What if Russell Wilson gets traded? Seattle might be in the market. So that's my thoughts. Rossi, let me get your take on that before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if Aaron Rodgers comes to you or talks to your organization and says that, you would be a fool, and it would be a fireable offense not to at least entertain it. And they have to back Tannehill. I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, they're not going to sit there and, especially, and this was a lot of this stuff came out pretty early after the season was over.
Mhm.
You know, one thing that has me thinking, and this is kind of a lot. Some people have said this already. Is you saw J. Rob's emotional little interview the other day at the combine, where he was darn near crying. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And you cannot tell me that Aaron Rodgers has not seen this team and said, "Wow, look at this defense." Like if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm wanting to pick a team that is darn near Super Bowl ready, if it's just one piece like him, I'm looking at the Titans. I mean, the Broncos could be there if they, added Rodgers and this and that, but I I personally I don't see it happening just because I don't see it happening, and not really because of I just don't see Rodgers wanting to suit up in Tennessee. I just see him going to somewhere like, you know, Pittsburgh or Denver, somewhere with a bigger market or something. I don't know. I just can't see it. But I don't think it's all just fodder either. I think there's something to it,
Yeah.
whether we end up being that team or not. But, and another thing too, if you look at how the NFL is nowadays, the league is changing. Like you said, the salary cap is a myth nowadays. Back in the day, you remember when we lost all those players, Derek
Mhm.
Mason. I mean, that's not
Yep.
really happening as much anymore. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
We
As
had
far
to
as just,
you had to
eh,
cut a whole bunch of players just to get
yeah,
under the cap. And you
um,
really, really couldn't do nothing else about it. So
yeah,
so
exactly. It's not happening like that as much anymore. Like, I mean, these teams are figuring out ways to finagle the cap and all that stuff. And you look at what's happened the last two seasons. What's happened? Tom Brady gets, now that wasn't a trade, but nonetheless, it was a big move. Tom Brady, throw him in Tampa, boom, they win a Super Bowl. Stafford moves to another team, LA, boom, they win a Super Bowl. You can't tell me that J Rob has not laid up at night thinking, you cannot tell me this. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you love Tannehill. You can't tell me that J Rob has not sat there in bed and thought at night, man, if I would have just had a better QB, you
right.
know, if I would have just had a better QB in the playoffs, where could I mean, he's a man, everybody's thought that. Every fan has thought that. And you can't tell me that there's not been one moment where he's thought, man, if I just had Rodgers, if I just had, you know what I mean? Um, I think it's a
Although
possibility, man.
although I will say this, there are a whole lot of fans right now that are just in the boo-hoo cry for Tannehill, cry me a river for Tannehill
Yeah.
gang that's like, it wasn't Tannehill's fault. It was Todd Downey's fault. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yes, part of that is Todd Downey's fault. I'm not going to disagree with that. However, who was throwing the ball?
Yeah.
Tannehill.
Yeah.
Tannehill. And, the thing about it is, yeah, and some people will probably say, "Well, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been back to the Super Bowl in 11 years. He hasn't been to the Super Bowl in a long time. He can't win the NFC Championship." Here's the difference: how many Super Bowls does Ryan Tannehill have? It's a very easy guess, y'all. There's only one number:
Yeah.
0. How many Super Bowls does Aaron Rodgers have? 1,
Yeah.
and that's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need. 1. Matt Stafford didn't have a Super Bowl, hadn't even been close to the Super Bowl, hadn't even
Yeah.
been in a championship game till he got to LA. Now he don't want a Super Bowl. And so it can happen. And don't forget how many MVPs that Aaron Rodgers has.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only had one MVP in our entire franchise history, and that was a co-MVP with Peyton
Yeah.
Manning. Now, Titans for Life has said sources are telling me that the Packers have had low-level trade talks about a trade, nothing serious yet. And if there are any talks, it's probably not serious. We know Aaron Rodgers is a diva. We know Aaron Rodgers, he likes to be in the spotlight. And I know that will probably be, well, we don't need that kind of stuff in the locker room. Vrabel and Rodgers won't get along. Look, if Aaron Rodgers don't like a play that Todd Downing is calling, he'll check out of it himself, and I'm perfectly good with that too. I don't mind if Aaron Rodgers does the Willie Beeman thing. I got a better play. I'm going to be like, look,
Steaming
I want to win. I'll be like, look, damn all of that. I want to win.
Yeah.
I want a Super Bowl, and we got a shot. Tannehill wasted that opportunity. So if you got a chance to get something better than Ryan Tannehill, come on. There are seriously Titan fans out there that are going to say Tannehill is better than Rodgers. Are you freaking kidding me? You're actually going to say Aaron Rodgers is not better than Ryan Tannehill. Seriously? Yes, the Packers lost to the 49ers, but I don't think it was because of Aaron Rodgers. They got a field goal block. They got a punt block.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some bad luck in that game.
Be realistic. And I know that there are some people who were mad at Tannehill and have cooled off. I'm not cooling off for that. And I know some people are like, well, get behind Tannehill. Get behind Tannehill. Here's the thing. I'm behind the Tennessee Titans, no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah,
of the team. But you should demand better. I understand 99 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to either staying in Green Bay, or he's going to Denver with his old offensive coordinator. And of course, I know people was talking about his lady, and that's probably falling apart a little bit. Most likely he's going to stay in Green Bay. All of this is just a ploy to get more money out of Green Bay. Probably. But just think about it. It's okay to dream. What if Aaron Rodgers decides he wants to come here anyway? And then we go win a Super Bowl with him? We got to package a few picks. We probably going to have to give up, and I would pray it doesn't involve our first round pick this year. But if it's 23, 24 first, absolutely, I'm fine. Sacrifice the future for the right now. I would do that. I would definitely do that. So I just want to win. Rossi, what you got to say, and this Calvin Ridley story wrap up on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I'm not, I was really mad at Tannehill. I still am. I haven't cooled off completely. I honestly, straight up with the truth, and everybody out there is watching, I don't think we can win a Super Bowl with Tannehill. Just point blank.
Absolutely not.
I think he's proven that he's not going to show up in the playoffs. It's not. When J-Rob said, oh, you can't base it on one game, I think that was completely just asinine, that comment. I think that he has shown us. We've had a decent sample size of what he's done in the playoffs, and it's not been anything. Even in the championship run, he didn't do anything because Henry did it. Now, I'm not saying I'm very grateful for Tannehill. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I know you probably feel the same way, Truth. Like, for what he's done, helping turn the franchise around. I think a lot of that had to do with Vrabel and J-Rob too. But, Tannehill's done a great job here. He's put up some incredible stats, and I'm grateful for Tannehill. But at the same time, I just don't feel like in my heart of hearts that Tannehill is going to get you to a Super Bowl. If you want to be a Super Bowl contender, you got to go out and make a move like that, or you draft somebody, groom him, maybe 3 years from now you're a contender.
Absolutely. And my last thought, I agree. you make the move for Rodgers, you're saying we're going for the Super Bowl one more time. And Tannehill has shown this is the ceiling. Getting to the divisional round, maybe an occasional championship game, he's reached the ceiling. We have reached the ceiling with Tannehill. And everybody say, well, he won a couple playoff games. No, like you said, Derrick Henry won those playoff games, not Tannehill. And like you said, in the championship game, he didn't do anything. In this game, he didn't do anything but threw picks to the other team. And the fact of the matter is, we're not here to have the good job award. I don't mind having a guy with a little bit of moxie and a little bit of arrogance at quarterback. You kind of need that a little bit. Somebody light a fire under your tail. So, yeah, I'm good with that. And, you know, Jared talked about Desmond Ridder and everything and saying that, you know, that the Titans might be actually serious about looking at him. And here's the thing about it. And I said this on his show. I said, here's the thing. If you draft Desmond Ridder, even at any point, if you stick with Tannehill and you don't get Aaron Rodgers and you go draft Desmond Ridder or even a Carson Strong, or I'll even go out on a limb and say Malik Willis, they will immediately become the most popular player on the team. Because if Tannehill struggles again, like he did this past season, and you are forced into making a quarterback change because the fans are going to clamor, for example, Desmond Ridder, fans are going to be clamoring, put in the Ridder, like, you know, the evil character, the Riddler. We're going to call him the Ridder. Put in the Ridder. You know, Ridder me this, Ridder me that. Fans are going to be calling for it. And once you put Desmond Ridder in, there is no turning back. You can't just put Ridder in and then go back to Tannehill. Don't be like Miami. That is the danger of sticking with Tannehill and you draft a quarterback. Because you're going to be like, fans are going to clamor for him. And they're going to want him. And if you make that trade, you're basically saying Tannehill can't win.
Yeah.
So that's that on that. But quickly to get out of here, and that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will get A.J. Brown and Julio the freaking ball.
Guaranteed.
Something that Tannehill, I mean, no diss to A.J. Brown. He gets the ball to A.J., but he doesn't get the ball to Julio. Aaron Rodgers will get the ball to Julio. I guarantee it.
Can you imagine their stats?
Exactly.
With Rodgers. Oh my gosh.
And I have said this, the magic number is 8 targets.
Yeah.
They will get at least 8 to 10 targets per game.
Yeah.
And they would be the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth option. I believe that.
Yeah.
So again, that's that on that. But last but not least, right quick, Calvin really gets suspended for at least the 2022 season for betting on games during the 2021 season when, you know, he decided to leave the team.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that yet.
That came out from the NFL.
Wow.
They suspended Ridley, Calvin Ridley for that. I mean, come on, it's like the Pete Rose situation.
Pete Rose, yeah.
You know, if you're gonna bet, you bet on like game. You don't bet on the league that you're in. That's like LeBron James betting on NBA games. You don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it. And I don't think they're saying you can't bet on, you know, you can't bet. Just you can't be betting on, you know, NFL games when you're an NFL player because they're making it seem like you are swaying something one way or the other. And I don't really have a lot of knowledge of all of this. I just hear it was some type of $1,500 bet or $1,500 in bets. That was it.
And he's suspended already?
But he is suspended. That has come down. That came down from the NFL today.
Wow.
And on Wednesday, I'll have some more information on that in bigger depth of that. So that's something we'll definitely talk about. We'll see about the whole restructuring of Bayard and Derrick Henry's contracts. If they do decide to go that route, it's just discussions. Nothing is set in stone yet. And everything. And they would like to resign Deontay Foreman. I hope they do resign him and get things done with Harold Landry. But Rossi, before we get out of here, and thank you for letting me talk your head off, where can everybody find your great content?
Yeah, man, and thanks for having me on, Truth. It's always a pleasure, man. But yeah, you can find me Titans Rossi, like you see it on the screen here, on YouTube and Twitter at Titans Rossi. So that's basically the two places I have my stuff on now. I'm really active on Twitter. You guys can always hit me up on there, message me, give me a follow. I'm almost at 2K on Twitter, and yeah, and follow me on YouTube too. We'll have some stuff coming out. My channel is a part of the Titan Upload Network, and shout out to Titans for Life, who was in here earlier. He's part of that as well. But yeah, you can find me there. And give me a follow, guys. I mean, we're all kind of in this together, me and Truth, and quite a few of us guys. We're always on each other's shows and stuff. So it's a pretty cool little thing we got going on.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And like I said, y'all, he is at Titans Rossi all together on Twitter, also on YouTube as well. He's over I believe you're over 1,000 already now on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
Just hit over 1,100, something about 1,100 and something now. But yeah.
So he got some great content. He did a show with Eddie O'Reilly live a few days ago. So definitely go check that out. It was it's a great story. It's definitely a great story with that. So definitely, like I said with mine, do it with him as well. Hit that subscribe button to Titans Rossi as well. And also ring that bell so you know when he's going live with stuff. He's part of the Titan Upload Network. And y'all go check out his show and smash his like button too. Show him some love and everything. But everybody, as usual, Titan Rossi, I believe you're on Facebook as well. I'll put that information out because I'll get that information. Y'all look on the TNT Enforcers page. I got some information on there, so I don't want to give out all your personal information like that. But everybody, like I said, on behalf of Titans Rossi, as usual, thank you. Thank you to everybody who has helped this channel and has been there for me. If y'all want some TNT swag, hit me up on that. I'll get you in touch with either Ms. Latoya on shirts or with Out the Crib Customs on hats, just like this one that you have on, that I have on. But also, thank y'all for helping me hit 1,100, trying to get to 1,200, trying to get to 2,000.
Nice.
So again, y'all, thank y'all for tuning into the show. We're gonna get out of here, and as always, we are gonna tighten up because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.